Okay, so you said that you have sold out crazy through online auctions, and we're at a capacity tonight. What makes the Privateers Feast so incredibly special that it sells out like that?
Oh goodness.
I'd say it's because of a lot of it is the performers that donate their time. A lot of them are big ticket items that believe in our cause. The Pirates Royale have been with us since the beginning, and they donate tonight. I can't imagine what their fee would be to actually hire them for this. But getting to see the Pirates Royale off fair time like this is a rare thing. And getting a chance to dress up, when there isn't fair going on. By this time, the one reason that we chose this time of year for the Privateer Feast was because this is when everyone's starting to jones for fair. Everyone's starting to say, oh gosh, when is fair? Is fair coming up? What's the timeline for it? So it turned out to be a good time for this feast because people are ready to get dressed up again. They've gotten over the heat and the cold and the dust and everything else from fair, and they're ready to play again. And it's a chance to see some great people and to see everybody that you've seen from fair. It's an annual reunion.
Yep. It pretty much, for some people, it starts off their fair season. You have this, and then it kind of slides into some of the other things like barf will start in May and rehearsals will start in March or April or whatever it is. So for some people, this actually starts off their fair season.
So now I notice out there are so many.
Just getting close because it'll make that less loud. Because it's a tight shot. Yeah.
So there's so many bags for raffles and so many things that people have donated. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys go about getting the stuff donated?
Pretty much, if we find an interesting artist or vendor that we think our folks might take to, then we'll ask them if they'd be willing to make a donation. And people are amazingly generous. Everything that's on the raffle tables tonight is donated by the artisans and the staff, people who work the various booths. We previously were not a 501c3, so they were not getting any tax kickback or anything like that, or write-off, I guess what you call it.
Yeah.
They're just strictly out of their own generosity donating, and some of these items are extremely. They could get. They're like.
There's some several $100 ticket items.
They could. They're just so committed to this cause that there's people who make special pieces specifically for our event. There's people who. They'll go all over to different fairs and ask vendors if they'd be willing to donate, and because they're so committed to this event, they want to make sure that they get new and unique things for our folks to bid on and fight for every year. Mm-hmm. Typically, like Maryland, the last weekend of Maryland, we'll run around to the various booths there, and we have some that will tell us the first week of fair, make sure you come back the last day. I've got stuff already set aside for you, or sometimes the vendors will, say, I'm sorry, I really want to, but I just can't do it this year, which is perfectly fine. We're willing to accept whatever donation somebody wants to give us. We will put it to good use.
The worst thing we can do is not ask.
Right.
That's what's worst they can say is they say no.
Yeah.
Okay, we move on.
We have the Wench Invasions, the local, the International Wenches Guild. They'll pick out a week of each fair run up the East Coast fairs to do an invasion, and we'll have people who'll go to the invasion weekend, and there's vendors who've gotten used to the invasion coming, and they'll set stuff aside for us to pick up. Or they'll go running through and they'll say, hey, we're with this group, would you be interested in donating? And this year we got stuff from Texas. One of our wenches went down there and she was like, hey, this is what's going on, and they're like, here you go, and they even shipped it to her. So we've got stuff from out there from Texas to New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. All up and down the East Coast. Previous years we've had stuff from Minnesota and Ohio show up, so you never know what we're going to end up with.
Wow, that's crazy. I thought it was just all from Maryland.
No.
Nope. It's all over.
So, how did Team Wench get started? Like, how did this all come to be?
Is that more me question?
I can answer that
Well,
one.
no, that's okay, because we'll ask you maybe twice, so we'll bounce back.
I can answer that one.
She just got.
Team Wench started with two different groups, two different things that happened at about the same time that converged together. One was there was an MS walk that a couple of winches got together and walked, and that was a grand time. It was down here in Annapolis. And we've been doing that one ever since, as Team Winch. And at the same time, a friend of ours came to a couple of us and said, hey, I've got a crazy idea. I've heard about this 3-day walk for breast cancer. Why don't we go and do that? And some of us were crazy enough to sign up and do that.
Not me.
No, I did. And these two events sort of happened at about the same time. So as that, and then at the same time, we realized that we were all trying to do stuff for charity, and we thought, well, let's do this together as a team. Let's create one big team. And the name Team Winch came up, and it stuck. And we've been Team Winch pretty much ever since. And we've done amazing things as a group of people who just want to get out there and make sure that other people have the funds they need to be taken care of, and for the research so that they don't have to worry about these things anymore.
Yeah, we've raised, I think it was over $170,000 since our inception, which was 2000. So over $170,000 just us doing these, crazy events, and our friends being super generous and coming out and not only donating items for the raffle, but coming out with money going, okay, give me stuff. It's like, here's my money. I'm walking out of here broke and hopefully with a couple of things in my pocket from the raffle, but here you go. Here's your money. And it's just amazing to me how generous, these people are.
Yeah.
170,000.
Yes, at least.
Since 2000.
I don't have the latest number, but I know it's at least 170,000.
So how much have you guys usually made from the privateers?
The last 3 years, we've averaged approximately $10,000 that went to the charity after costs. We have no expense budget that we use. So it's pretty much we pay ourselves back our costs, the barest costs for covering the event, and then every other penny, every penny over that goes to the charity. And we've averaged $10,000 the last couple of years, but 1 year was up to $13,000. But the last couple of years, it's been $10,000. And last year was in the middle of one of the biggest recessions since the 70s, and we still brought in $10,000.
We still brought in as much as we normally did, which blew us all away.
How's the sound?
It's good now.
Okay.
The fan's gone.
How was it with the fan?
It wasn't great, but you could hear everything.
Okay. So why breast cancer?
Why not?
Because breast cancer scares the hell out of me. I'll be honest, it does.
If you do that one more time, would you mind opening the door and asking people not to go?
Okay.
Is it okay if we switch places?
I think you should stay where you're at. It'll look strange by now.
Okay.
Okay. I just need to shift my foot.
You okay?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah, I just need to shift the weight off of my left foot.
Is that it?
Yep.
So
Is that
I'm gonna
it?
ask you that again.
Okay.
Why breast cancer?
Breast cancer scares the hell out of me. These things are part of me. They have fed my son, and if I was ever to have breast cancer and to lose them, it would be losing part of myself. It truly is part of what makes me me, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm all for saving the breasts and making sure breast cancer goes away. 5 years ago, my mother was diagnosed. She's been cancer-free for 5 years. And that's part of why we do this.
Yeah. One of my good friends from work had it come. She got diagnosed, and then she had it come back twice. Within a 3-year period, she had it essentially three times. I had another friend who unfortunately lost her fight against it, who was a dear friend of me too. So it's touched home, and so have a reason to get dressed up in funny clothes and party and do some good in the meanwhile time. It's why wouldn't we do it?
Yeah, we're wenches.
Yeah, I mean, hello, you can't.
Yeah. That's part of us, as breasts. So yeah, we want to keep them around. So.
Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about the special raffle for Caitlin?
Caitlin Martin was a longtime member of Team Winch. She'd been a participant of the Privateers Feast from at least 2003. It may have been earlier than that, but that's when I first started coming to the Privateer Feast, was 2003, and I actually met Caitlin. We were at the mill, and we'd run out of raffle tickets. And somebody had run over to some store at the 11th hour to try to buy more raffle tickets, and we had a huge line waiting, and as soon as the raffle tickets showed up, the hordes just kind of descended, and poor little Caitlin was working the raffle ticket table by herself. And so I had been talking to her during the lull time, so I just sat on down and started tearing tickets with her and selling tickets as fast as we could. And so that was my introduction to Caitlin. And she had been part of the raffle committee ever since then. In 2008, she took on the responsibility of our, what we call our acquisition specialist, who was the person who would solicit vendors and artists off season to see if they'd be willing to donate items to our raffles. She actually had cancer herself, not breast cancer, but she did have liver cancer. And back in May 2009, she passed away of complications for the flu because of her compromised immune system. She was going through chemo at the time. And so she was just such a big part of the raffles that it just made sense to do something for her, have a presence of her here. The two items that are on there actually belong to her. One's a bracelet and one is a thneed, which is like a scarfy shawl kind of combo that she actually knit herself. I kind of inherited her things when she passed. Her son, I was the only one that her son knew, and so I kind of gathered up her friends and dispersed her things amongst them so everyone could have a little bit of a memory of her, and it just made sense for those two things to be in this event.
It's really nice. Dan, you have any questions?
It's all good.
Tom, you have any questions? You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.